Hey everybody, it's Perv McSwerve, aka Adam Romero, aka Uncle Perv from Massive Novelties here. Today I just wanted to touch on something that I've been getting a couple of questions about lately, and that is when it comes to length work, whether extending or hanging, which method is best, static or dynamic? And by dynamic, I mean things like interval methods where you constantly decrease the tension and then load the penis again. So I'll just start with sort of the 10,000 foot view. I won't really go into detail in this video. For the interval method and any kind of interval length work, basically what you're trying to do is take advantage of the fact that tissue fatigues when you cycle the load. So it's no different really than fatiguing a muscle by doing repetitions rather than just picking up a weight and holding it in one place. You can fatigue the muscle a lot more through cyclical loading rather than just sort of static loading. Now, here is the sort of meat and potatoes of the situation. Personally and anecdotally, I have not seen that you get any more elongation from cycling. You just get the same elongation that you would normally get faster. And I've seen it anywhere from 10 to 20% faster. So what I mean by that is, if I have a target elongation that I would reach by 60 minutes just doing static work, and that is just setting it and not touching it, or just hanging with a certain amount of weight and not touching it, just completely passive. If that took me 60 minutes to reach my target elongation, then I could probably reach my target elongation by about 45 minutes if I was using the interval method. So basically, it's not that it's going to get you any longer, it's just that it's going to decrease the amount of time that you have to spend. And this is good for a couple of reasons, because I think that the most abbreviated sort of programs are going to be best for us overall. But you know, sometimes I just don't have the time to sit there with my interval timer and touch my, apex every 2 minutes or every 5 minutes or something like that. So for me personally, I use a mixture of both. I use an interval program and I use a static program. And I kind of know for me that it's going to take me about, 15 minutes longer if I just do static, but that's the whole thing about it, is that I'm usually busy, so I'm hands off anyway, so it doesn't really, 15 more minutes in an extender or, hanging isn't really a bother for me. Now, if I am extending or hanging, doing length work in the afternoon or night, typically I'm doing it on my sofa and I'm like watching a movie or something like that, so it's no problem for me to set up my phone. I use the app, the high intensity interval training app called Seconds. And I have a program on there set up for my 2-minute cycles and then the 5-minute cycles after that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't worry about it. Basically, the question that I'm answering is one better than the other? Is static better than dynamic, or vice versa? And the answer is no. It really depends on your level of, interest in being interactive with what you're doing or having it be as passive as possible. So if you're at a desk, trying to do some work, maybe passive is going to be the best answer for you. Maybe just sort of set it and forget it. But if you want to maximize your gains in as little time as possible, so that you can spend time, that time doing something else, like if you're a real busy person, yeah, it might be worth it to do intervals. I certainly do intervals whenever I can, but it isn't necessary. I really wanted to make this video because I see a lot of guys getting really complex with their routines. And to be quite honest, like some of these routines that have like 8 components to them, they're like, oh, first I do these bundled stretches, and then I do mandingos, then I do side to sides, and then I do 15 minutes of manuals, and then I do the hokey pokey, and then I like smoke some weed and do some PCP, and then I put myself in an extender and I, use a male hanger for 20 minutes with 200 pounds and stuff like this. And then I do fire goat rolls and blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. The whole thing is like, I've seen PE routines where guys have like 8 or 9 steps. The biggest problem is if you are growing or not growing, you don't know what the fuck is actually causing that. And so when it comes time to troubleshoot, these guys will get on the forum and they'll be like, I'm not growing anymore. Here's my routine. And it's like 9 different things. And my personal advice is always, I'm like, do 2 or 3 things at most. You know, if you feel like you need a warm up, then do a warm up. I personally don't really do any kind of warm up. I feel like my dick is warm whenever I take my pants off. If I, you know, felt particularly cold, I might just massage it for about 2 or 3 minutes. But I also do a tunica release technique during my extending. And so that is an additional little bit of warm up. But that being said, simplify your routine. As much as possible, as often as possible, and only change things or add things in when you absolutely cannot make progress with the minimal amount of work that you have. So for me personally, that started out, or that looked like just starting out pumping. And then I added in a little bit of hanging. And then when I didn't really like the way that hanging was going, that's when I invented the Frankenstender, and that's when I started doing high tension extending. And to date, my program really at this point looks like Apex for about 40 to 60 minutes, and then going into a pump. Oh, I also do like the tunica release technique while I'm in the Apex, and I do some bundled stretching, but not more than about 5 to 7 minutes of bundled extending in the Apex with the new bundled knob that I have. And then pumping is usually about 20-30 minutes, and that's it. I'm done, period, end of story. And that's pretty much what I've been doing, you know, for the majority of my growth. So simplify things as much as you can. That is, again, I don't want to have it thought that like I'm railing against the interval method, because I'm not. It's a totally valid method. I'm just saying, if you don't have the time for it, or if that's too complicated for you to do, then don't do it. Don't do something that's so ridiculously difficult that it fucks with your consistency. Because out of all the methods, whether it's manuals, using the Apex extender, or hanging, or pumping, the biggest thing that's going to get you gains is consistency. So what's the best, whether it's static or dynamic? It's the one that you'll do, and the one that you'll do consistency, because consistency is king. That's what's really going to make you grow. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me for this video. Please, please, please make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what you want to hear in the next video, and I'll see you guys next time.